My dear students, parents, teachers, and principals of all our council-affiliated schools across India and abroad, welcome to this CISCE Virtual Learning Series. It is the Council's humble gesture and initiative to reach out to our students through our exclusive YouTube channel using StreamYard. We are in the 6th month of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the crisis does not seem to relent anytime soon. Given that all schools are closed, the Council has decided to proactively involve its students in some teaching learning activity through this initiative. While many schools have been doing excellent work in conducting online classes for its students, yet there are some schools which have not been able to do the same for their students. The Council is concerned about these students, especially those at the ICSE and ISE level. Therefore, the Council has arranged for subject experts for all the major subjects at the ICSE and ISE levels to address students' concerns and to suitably guide them in these subjects. These lessons can be viewed exclusively on the CISCE YouTube channel. I request all our students to be attentive and participate actively in these interactive live lessons. I am confident that our subject experts will be able to assist and motivate each one of you. Lastly, I would like to place on record my most sincere gratitude to Mr. Francis Joseph for coordinating with our research division and examination sections to make this possible. We plan to continue this series for as long as we can so that the Council can reach out to our teaching community in general and to our students in particular. Thank you and happy learning.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the ICSE virtual learning session. Today's class is a continuation of the language class we had. Today's class is a continuation of the language class we had on 9th September. I'm sure most of you will agree with me when I say English language is the last subject one would focus on while preparing for the examination. This may be primarily because, children, you do not have specific content you can memorize like other subjects. Quite often parents say, what is there to study in grammar? And you too feel there is nothing to learn in grammar. But do you know that unless you understand English, you will not be able to understand the subjects that are taught in English? So it is necessary that you learn the skills of English language so that you are able to express your opinion, your thoughts, and your views in a perfect way. English as a language allows us to unleash our soul into the world that surrounds us. It is used to touch the soul and heart of people around us. We see all the components of English grammar are like building blocks that help us or allow us to use this language effectively and successfully. Therefore, acquiring command over the language skills is most essential if we have to communicate our thoughts and our opinions to people around us. Now the question arises, how do we do that? How is it possible? Grammar is so difficult, we just don't understand. Children, you as people should remember to practice, practice, and practice with persistence, and only then you can become perfect. Never stop once you start practicing. Language skills, remember, are not taught. They are not to be memorized. They are to be enjoyed. You should enjoy them through regular practice. And once it becomes a habit to practice them, you will realize how easy and how perfect you can become. It's not at all difficult. I hope that every one of you have a notebook with you to take note of the important points that we will be discussing today. Today, let us learn the usage of degrees of adjectives. Let us brush up what we have studied, the basics of this grammar point that you have learned in your lower classes. For example, what is an adjective? And you all know the definition. An adjective is a word that tells us more about the noun. Now, look at this slide. Mary, Shirley, and Angela were asked to pick one apple each from a basket of apples that their mother had brought from while she went shopping. Mary ran and picked up a big apple. Shirley picked up another apple, while her sister Angela too picked one apple. Mary looked at Shirley's apple and she felt Shirley's apple is bigger than hers. And then she was very upset to see that Angela had picked up the biggest apple. Now, what have we done here? We have compared the three apples picked by the three sisters, Mary, Shirley, and Angela. The words big, bigger, and biggest indicate the three levels of the degrees of adjective. They are the three levels. Big is in the positive level or the first level, comparative, the second level or the higher level, and the biggest in the superlative level of comparison. Let us see what the positive degree of comparison is all about. We now move on to the next, where we see the positive degree is used to describe one item. So remember, one item, one person, or one group. The positive degree is the unaltered version of an adjective. What is the unaltered version? It means there is no change done. Okay, there is nothing being compared in this. It is a basic level of comparison. We have not changed the adjective from its original form. But this form is used to compare items when combined with as. Like we use as before the adjective as well as after the adjective. For example, in this sentence, you see Ritu is as smart as Rani. What are we comparing here? Is the smartness. Ritu is as smart as Rani. No one is more or no one is smarter than the other. Okay, the degree of smartness is the same. We have other examples like John is as strong as Rajan. Here we say Rajan is equally strong, right? Though John is as strong as Rajan. Mount K2 is not as high as Mount Everest. Here we are comparing the height of the two mountains, but it is only the height and it is only the two we are speaking about, they are equal. Okay, so there is no change in the degree of being compared here. Let us see what the comparative degree has to say about. Let us see here. The comparative degree compares two items, two persons, or two groups. I repeat, we use the comparative degree to compare two items, two persons, or two groups. Now, remember this. Most adjectives with one syllable and some with two syllables end with ER. Most adjectives with one syllable and some with two syllables end with ER. While most adjectives with more than two syllables and some with two syllables, that is, two-syllable adjectives as well as three-syllable adjectives or more than two-syllable adjectives, use more before the adjective. Now you may have the question as to what is a syllable. Some of you may be aware of it while some may not be. So let me just explain to you what a syllable is. It is how you split the word when you are speaking. We tend to split it according to the vowel sound. But some textbooks may give you, the grammar textbook may give you the definition as it is also a number of times you twist your tongue to say the word. Now, listen to this word, Constantinople, how I split it. Con-stan-ti-no-pil. I repeat, Con-stan-ti-no-pil. You see, children, I have split the word in 5 places. Okay, so this word is a 5-syllable word. Don't you think it's easy to split the word when you speak, as you speak? And if you practice this, I'm sure you will master this art. Okay, and you will be able to teach your younger siblings, as well as the children in your class who do not understand how to split the words. So, a word which has only one syllable is called a single syllable word. Now, for example, we have the words like tall, small, cold, large, rich. These are single syllable words or one syllable words. While two syllable words like clever, in clever, clever, happy, tasty, narrow, careful, peaceful. Okay, so here you see I have split the word at 2 places. For example, to repeat, careful. The word careful is split at 2 places, care and full. Similarly, the 3-syllable words, some examples like generous, important, beautiful. Now, how do we split them? Generous, important, beautiful. I hope you understand now how we can break the words according to the syllables. The next point here to remember is if the adjectives end with Y, the comparative is IER. See this word here, happy. The word happy ends with Y. Now what have we done with Y? We have just changed that Y into I, and then we have added ER. So happy became happier. Yes? So other examples we can have lazy, lazier, busy, busier. Okay. The next rule to remember is this adjective is used when we compare in association with than. As in the example you see, Shilpa is taller than Smita. Shilpa is taller. See, it's a single syllable, so we have added ER and then we have used than after the adjective. Okay, so Shilpa is taller than Smita. The next sentence, Rupa is Rupa is more beautiful than Rita. Rupa is more beautiful. Why did I use more? Because the word beautiful has 3 syllables here. So the word more precedes the adjective beautiful, and the word than follows the adjective beautiful. Therefore, Rupa is more beautiful than Sita. We have some more examples to give, like he is richer than his brother. Is it possible? Yes, of course. It's possible for one to be richer than the other. So he is richer than his brother. The old lady is more generous than her neighbor. Okay, so these are the examples where we see than has to be used after the adjective when we are comparing two things, two people, or two groups. Now, while we compare, we'll see now the superlative degree is a final degree of comparison. Here, as in the comparative degree, we compare three or more items, persons in groups. While in comparative degree, we compare two or more items or two or more persons or groups. While in the superlative degree, we compare three. Please remember here in the superlative, three or more, while in the comparative, two or more. And similar to the rule there, adjectives with one and two syllables end with est. Adjective with one and two syllables end with est. While you remember in the comparative degree, they ended in er. An adjective with three syllables use most before the adjective, while in the comparative degree, the adjectives with three syllables used more before the adjective. You see, children, now you need to compare and see what is the rule to be followed in the positive degree, comparative degree, and superlative degree, and you'll find it so very easy. The next rule is that if an adjective ends with y, I given the word pretty here, while in the comparative degree we use the word happy, but both words end with y. The superlative is iest. While you remember in the comparative we removed y and we added I. In the superlative too we do the same thing. So pretty becomes prettiest in the superlative, while it is prettier in the comparative. The next point to remember is that the adjective is preceded by the and is followed by a noun. In the superlative degree, the adjective has to be preceded by the. We use the word the and then the adjective and then the noun. See in this example that's given, Ram is the smartest boy in the class. See the word smartest, the adjective is preceded by the word the. Okay, and it is followed by the noun boy. So you see, Ram is the smartest boy in the class. I hope you understood that. Okay, I'll give you some more example. Mount Everest is the highest mountain peak in the world. Mount Everest is the highest mountain peak in the world. The is used before highest and the noun mountain is used after the adjective. Sahara is the largest desert in the world. Once again, see the rule. The is used before the adjective largest and the noun desert is used after the adjective. One more example to give you. Switzerland is the most beautiful country. The is used before most beautiful. And the noun country is used after the adjective most beautiful. Now, certain times we do commit certain errors in using these adjectives. Okay, there are what we call as irregular adjectives. We'll see in the next slide the usage of irregular adjectives. Why do we call them irregular adjectives? Irregular adjectives are, when we change the degree, the word is completely changed instead of just adding er or est. For example, good become better, best. Just imagine you say good, gooder, and goodest. How odd it sounds, right? So good, when we change it to the comparative degree, It becomes better. And in the superlative degree, we use best. There are other words like little is less in the comparative and least in the superlative, while bad is worse in the comparative and worst in the superlative. We use much. The word much become more in the comparative and most in the superlative. So these are some of the examples. I'll give you an example in a sentence like Shilpa is good at history. Okay. Shilpa likes history, so she's good at history. She studies it very well, and so she's good at history. While Kripa in her class is better at history than Shilpa. Okay. Kripa is better at history than Shilpa, while Shipra in her class is the best. Shipra is the best in the class at history. You see now how we use the word good in the positive, better in the comparative, and best in the superlative. You see, children, certain times we have a tendency of using double comparative and double superlative. Now, the next slide will tell you why we should not use double comparatives and double superlative. Using more, most with adjectives ending with er and est is called double comparative and double superlative. It's definitely wrong to use double comparatives and double superlative, but maybe in the recent time you would have read it somewhere or you would have heard people using it, but let me tell you, it is grammatically wrong. So if ever you have been using double comparatives and double superlative, please remember that is not the right way. You cannot be using double comparative and double superlative. Look at these examples now. She is more prettier than her sister. Does it sound right? Of course not. It is incorrect. The right way to say is she's prettier than her sister. Second sentence, she is the most prettiest girl in the class. You might have heard people speaking because they do not know correct English. But you remember, using double superlative is again absolutely wrong. She is the prettiest girl in the class is the right way to say. Take one more example. Birbal was more wiser than any other minister in Akbar's court. More wiser. Can we use it? No. According to the rule, it is wrong to use it that way. Instead, we must say Birbal was wiser than any other minister in Akbar's court. We go on to the next slide now where we see all the rules. We need to think about it now. There are certain rules that we have to remember while learning this skill of grammar. Here are the points that you should always keep in mind and practice regularly because practice makes us perfect. So remember these rules and practice and practice. See to the example here now. We must remember always to include specifically who or what is being compared in order that the reader understands what is compared. The reader should understand what is compared. So therefore, we have to be very, very clear who or what is being compared. See this example. Reshma's dress is prettier than Shama. What's wrong in this sentence? We are comparing Reshma's dress with Shama. Reshma's dress is a thing, it's an item, and you are comparing that item with a person. Comparison is not right. So what should be the answer? Reshma's dress is prettier than that of Shama is the right way of writing. Second point, you see, when different qualities of the same person are compared, we should use more plus positive degree. Remember, children, more plus positive degree should be used when different qualities of the same person. Remember, it's the different qualities of the same person or one individual are compared. We should use more plus the positive degree. See this example here. She is wiser than fairer You're comparing the two qualities of wisdom and the fairness. But the way we have used this in the sentence is incorrect. It should be, she is more wise than fair. We have used more plus the positive degree of wise. More wise than fair is correct. When selection of one out of two persons or thing is implied. So suppose there is a selection, you have to make a choice of one out of the two. Now, what do we do then? When the selection of one out of two persons or things is implied, the comparative degree should be followed by of the. She is wiser of the two sisters. Yeah, or he is stronger of the two friends, or he is stronger of the two brothers. So here, because we are selecting one out of the two sisters, and we are selecting this sister or that sister. Okay, so she is wiser of the two. We are comparing the wisdom to say one is wiser than the other. So, but we say she is wiser of the two because we are selecting one out of the two. When we are selecting one out of the two, we use of the. We now move on to next, the points to remember. Always remember these points. These are very important points to be remembered. If two comparisons are used in the same sentence, two comparisons are used in the same sentence to emphasize on a certain idea. We're talking about some particular idea and we're using two comparisons. Then both of them should be preceded by the. That is, we should use the word the before the comparative adjective. When two comparisons are used in the same sentence to emphasize on a certain idea, both of them should be preceded by the. That is, we should use the before the adjective. For example, here you see, the better you eat, the healthier you get. I can add some more here. The longer you talk, the more tired you will get. Quite often in the class, you may say, Miss, we are tired. We don't want the lesson. We want to chat. And the teacher may say, as I say in the class, the longer you talk, girls, the more tired you become. So you better stop talking. You see, the longer, I use the word the before longer, you talk, more tired you become. Also, the more you, I would like to tell you now, the more you practice, the better your performance will be, children. The more you practice, the better your performance will be. See, I have used the word the before the adjective. The lesser you talk, the wiser you become. Yes? Quite often we teachers do tell our children, the lesser you talk, the wiser you become. Don't, when you complete your lesson, don't start talking. When the lesson is over, don't start talking. Sit quietly and think about what was taught by your teacher, because the lesser you talk, the wiser you become. Yes, please take it home. The lesser you talk, the wiser you become. Next, we will speak about the two different types of adjectives here. The next slide, the little and few. The little refers to less quantity, but all that is available. The little means less, but all that is available. Remember, all that is available, nothing is left there. Take for example here, the cat drank the little milk that was in the glass. There was little milk in the glass and the cat drank it all. So you say the cat drank the little milk, the less quantity, but all that was in the glass. A little is used to speak about very less quantity of something. It's lesser than the little, very less quantity of something, like a little knowledge is very dangerous. Do you agree with me? A little knowledge is very dangerous because we think we know everything and we tend to get into trouble because of this little knowledge that we have and we try to put it into practice. We need to learn more. Little as a word means not much or hardly anything. Quite often we say nothing. Like, take this example. The old man has little hope of survival. The old man is in the hospital, he's struggling, and people around say there's hardly any hope. So instead of saying hardly any hope, you may say the old man has little hope of survival. I hope you understood this here now. How the differences in the little, a little, and little. Similarly, in the next slide, we see the usage of the few. The few means not many, but all of them. Now, while little refers to quantity, few refers to number. Okay. Example here, the few students that were present had not brought their books. Countable, we could count them. The few students in a class of 40, suppose 25 were present. So the few students that were present had not brought their books. Means none of them had brought their book. So there were few, not many, but all of them. None of them had brought the book. A few means some. She asked for a few sweets. She didn't ask for many sweets. She asked for a few sweets. Means some, a number, okay, a quantity, a small quantity. While few means hardly any. Here the sentence goes, few blessings were showered upon him in any situation. We do not know. Maybe on a birthday party or at the wedding. Very few people were present. So few blessings were showered upon him. Or maybe many people did not like him. So few blessed him. So few blessings were showered upon him means hardly any blessing. He received hardly any blessing. So instead of using the word hardly any, we use few. Let us now learn how we change the degrees of comparison in our next presentation. Here, in the next slide, we learn the changing of the degrees of comparison. This is very important, children. These are the rules you should remember while you are answering your ICSE paper, question 5D. Question 5D in the ICSE paper is with the transformation of sentences, where you will find sentences where you have to change the degree of comparison. So if you are thorough with these rules, once again, let me tell you, you don't have to learn them or memorize them. You don't have to learn them by heart or memorize them. It's only practice and practice and practice. Okay, we'll come back to the rules here now. In the superlative degree, Raman is the tallest boy in the class. Raman is the tallest boy in the class. Here we have only one boy who is the tallest. So in the comparative degree, you see the change that we make. Raman is taller than any other boy in the class. Why do we use any other? We use the words any other. Raman is the only tallest boy in his class. So therefore, when we compare him with the other boys, compare his height with the other boys, we say Raman is taller than any other boy in the class. So when in the superlative, there's only one person or one item, in the comparative, we use than any other. Is it difficult to remember this? I don't think. You can remember this rule. While the same sentence, when we transform or convert to the positive degree, we begin it with no other. No other boy in the class is as tall as Raman. No other boy. What do we mean here? No other boy means Raman is the only boy who is the tallest. So therefore, since in the superlative there's only one, in the positive we use no other. Okay? In the superlative, when there's only one person or one item or one group, in the comparative we use the words any other, and in the positive we use no other. Remember the superlative. This is an easy trick to remember perhaps. The superlative and the comparative begin with the same word, the same noun, Raman and Raman, while the positive does not begin with the same word. So note the usage of taller than and as tall as. Now, as tall as should give you a clue that as tall is as dash as is used in the positive degree. So immediately, it's definitely not difficult at all. As you will see at the end of this session, when I give you exercises, you'll find it quite easy. Let us see how we change these degrees of comparison when we have more than one person in the superlative in the next slide now. Now, the second way of changing the degrees of comparison is where in the superlative degree we have more than one person here. Sharanya is one of the tallest girl in the class. You see, there are three girls of equal height here. Sharanya and her two friends. So Sharanya is one of the tallest. Why do we say one of the tallest? That is because there are other two who are of equal height, right? So therefore we use one of the tallest. Remember this, one of the tallest, because there are other people who are of a height. While you change or convert this sentence to comparative, we use Sharanya is taller than many other girls. Taller than many other. Many other is used when there are more than one person in the superlative. While in the previous rule, I said when there was only one person in the superlative, we use any other. While here in this case, when there are more than one person in the superlative, we use many other in the comparative. Will you remember this rule? It's very easy, of course. All that is necessary is practice. Please remember to practice it every day, and you will have this rule on your fingertips. Okay, let's come to the positive degree here now. In the positive degree, we use very few girls in the class are as tall as. You see, as dash as remains as it is. But the difference is how we begin the sentence. While in the previous rule that we learned, in the superlative, there was only one person who was the tallest there or the highest quality. In the comparative, we used any other, and in the positive, we used no other. Remember. So when we use few, this is another clue to remember. When we use the word few, it is in the positive degree. Quickly you know that it has to be the positive degree. And when it is many other, you have to remember it is a comparative degree where in the superlative there are more than one person. So therefore the superlative degree has to be one of the best or one of the. Isn't it easy? It's not at all difficult. All that is important is to learn this trick, trick to know that this is how we should be able to identify it. We now move on to the next slide where we have only two degrees to be compared while changing from comparative degree to positive degree. When the comparison is, there are only two things compared, we cannot have the superlative. We cannot have the superlative because there's no third. Because we remember what we said earlier, in the superlative, we compare three people, three items, or three groups. So when the comparison is between two, there cannot be a superlative. So let's see what the rules are. While changing from comparative degree to positive or from positive to comparative degree, the place of the subject and the object is interchanged. See, I have highlighted in red to show you. In the comparative sentence, a wise enemy is the subject, while a foolish friend is the object. When we change the sentence from comparative to positive, what happens? A foolish friend has taken the place of the wise enemy here in the sentence. So a foolish friend has come first. They interchanged place. The place of subject and the object is interchanged. They interchange the place so very conveniently. So a foolish friend is not as good as a wise enemy. Better change of place. Did you saw the next change there, that the word not? When the comparative degree was in the positive sentence, the positive degree changes to a negative sentence. If the comparative sentence is a positive sentence, it changes to a negative sentence in the positive degree. Remember this. This rule is very important to be remembered as such. So, we conclude that while changing from comparative to positive degree, if the comparative sentence is in the positive sentence, it changes to a negative sentence. Now, that explains why no other is used only in the positive degree. We now see the points to be remembered. These are the very important points, children, that you should remember when you practice and practice. When in the comparative degree, than any other is used, in the positive degree, we use no other. Okay, the second rule is that when in the comparative degree, we use than many other, in the positive degree, we use very few, and in the superlative degree, we use one of them. Third rule, if the comparative sentence is a positive sentence, it changes to a negative sentence in the positive degree. And as we said, the subject and the object interchange the places. The fourth rule is superlative and comparative sentences begin with the same words. Okay, so remember these rules, and then we have some assignment to check on. Let's see the next slide, what it has for us. Now I have given you some assignment over here. This is how the question appears in the question paper, ICC question paper, question 5D. Rewrite the following sentences according to the instructions given after each. Make other changes that may be necessary, but do not change the meaning of each sentence. I'll just guide you a little bit because I would like you to work it out. A fragrant flower is the loveliest creation of nature. You see the degree here, okay? What is the degree? And you have to start with no other. So you should remember now no other which degree begins with no other. So it is easy. Hari is taller than James. The comparison is between only two people. What happens then if they interchange the place? Now, this is a positive sentence. What will happen to the sentence here? Third sentence. Smita is smarter than Seema. Now, you have to use the word smart because this is the comparative degree. So naturally, you know this is the positive degree. What will happen? Only two people are compared. So what will happen to the place? Will they interchange the place? Then will it become a positive? Will it remain a positive sentence as it is, or will it become a negative sentence? Train your brain. Practice. And practice will definitely tell you what you have to do here. Solomon was one of the wisest men. Solomon was one of the wisest men. Read this part, understand what is the rule, and then you are asked to begin with very few. Very few is in the positive degree, and this is, okay, you remember this, and very few, so what you have to do. There's some more thing in the next slide, some more questions. We have question 5. Mumbai is the best seaport in India. Use better. The best. So use better. So what you have to do, what change you have to do. An ass is not as intelligent as a horse. Only two things are compared. And this has used not. So what will happen to the sentence? Of course, interchange of places happened, but this is check. What is the degree here? What is the degree? And then in the sentence, you use the other degree. 7th sentence, platinum is one of the most precious metal. One of the most precious means, okay, you must know the meaning. Use more precious. So which degree? More. Which degree? Think of it. It is easier to speak than to act. Again, comparison between two things, to speak and to act. So what happens? It is easier to speak. This is positive sentence. Will this sentence become negative? The place is interchanged between speak and act. So what will happen here? There are few hill stations as beautiful as Dalhousie. Use most beautiful. Few hill stations. Few hill stations. So what will happen in the superlative for the most beautiful? Think of it. The cheetah is swifter than any other animal. Use swiftest. Which degree? Think. Think. You need to think. Which degree is this? So swiftest is which degree? So how should we write the sentence? And the last sentence, Kalidasa is greater than many other poets. Use greatest here. Okay. So wish you good luck. I would like all of you to work this and get back to us, write the answers, give back the answers. Now we start with the question answer session. Can we use so dash dash as instead of as dash dash as? Can we use so dash dash as instead of as dash as? Yes, but remember this, children, you can use it with negative sentences only. For example, this dress is not so beautiful as that. Okay, you can use it. Thank you. In transformation of sentences, can we retain the degree of comparison by just changing the adjective? In transformation of sentences, can we retain the degree of comparison by just changing the adjectives? Oh my God, how can we do that? Of course, no. You see, it is a transformation, children. It's a transformation of sentence, and you have to change the degree of comparison. Please remember, you have to change the degree of comparison of the given adjective. So you cannot give the opposite word. Okay? So here you have to remember that you have to transform the degree of comparison in the given sentence. So therefore, you cannot use. Okay? Can we use negative like no other or not in comparative degrees? Okay. You can, but I suggest you avoid the usage because you may get confused. You can, okay? It's sometimes, but rarely you can use it, but better to avoid this usage. Why do we say superior to and not superior than? Okay, now this needs a little bit explanation. You'll have to listen to me, okay? Why do we say why do we say superior to and not superior than? Okay, you see, there are 12 words in the comparative form which have been imported from Latin, okay? Now, they end with OR. Like, for example, interior, exterior, ulterior, major, minor, inferior, superior, junior, senior, anterior, posterior, prior, etc. Now, of these, the first 5 words that I read out, that is interior, exterior, ulterior, major, and minor, they are used only in positive degree, okay? Because they say they neither use than nor to after them. While the next 7, that is inferior, superior, junior, senior, anterior, posterior, and prior, these, unlike the other adjectives, they are followed by to instead of than. The next 7, that is inferior, superior, junior, senior, anterior, posterior, and prior, they are followed by to instead of than. This is a rule. Okay. For example, like she is junior to me, or she is senior to me. You could also say my TV is superior to yours, or this sculpture is inferior to that. It's just by rule that we use to and not than. That is why we cannot say not superior than. Instead, we say superior to something, somebody. Can you please explain the difference in the usage of elder, eldest, older, oldest? Okay. Elder and eldest are applied to people, okay? Elder and eldest, while using elder and eldest, we apply it to people or persons only. Remember that than is used, not used after elder. Than is not used after elder. Like, he is the elder of the two. He is elder of the two sons, or he is elder of the two brothers. While older and oldest are applied to both persons and things. Okay. Well, as I said, let me repeat. Elder and eldest is used with people, while older and oldest can be used with both people as well as things. Than can be used sometimes after the word older. For example, this building is older than that. Now here, these are the things that we compare. This building is older than that. Or she is the older of the two. Here in the people, she is older of the two. Rahul is the oldest boy in the class. So the older and oldest. Can use it in both things and people, while elder and eldest is used only with people. The correct definition will go as like, it's a breaking of the words with the vowel and diphthongs. Now, since the word diphthong will be difficult for the children to understand, I had given you the other simpler explanation why the way we break a word. Okay. Of course, there are the vowels there that we use. As I gave you the example of Constantinople. Constantinople. There are vowels used in that word, but we break it according to that. So breaking this is easier for you to understand than to go by the definition, because you see in ICC we are using functional grammar and not formal grammar. Okay, and different books give you different definition. Please explain the positive degree one more time. In the positive degree, you see, in the positive degree of comparison, we make comparison, it's used in the unaltered form, first and foremost, to remember. Okay, there is no change. It is as it is. She is beautiful. He is smart. Okay, these are the compare. But when we compare, then it is only one quality that is compared, or two people, she is as smart as, or she is not as smart as. Okay, so no other and not are used in the positive degree. And the comparison, even if you compare, it's a one quality or the two people of the same level or different, but when we use the different level, it is not is used to show the difference. Can we not split beautiful in the same manner as we split careful? We cannot say careful. It's careful, careful. Even beauty has two, beauty, beauty, two syllables, and then full is a third syllable. Why is it important to use the article the twice in the sentence when there are two comparisons? Because we have two adjectives there. So naturally, each adjective takes the word the before it. As I said, the lesser you talk, the wiser you become. So the two adjectives we are compared. So naturally, we have to use the article the twice. Is it necessary to use than in a sentence making a comparison? In the comparative degree, yes, it is necessary. It is necessary to use the word than in a sentence when in the comparative degree when we compare two things. She is smarter than. I am more beautiful than. Okay? This dress is finer than. So we have to use the word than while making comparison in the comparative degree. Definitely, yes, you have to use. When do we use more before an adjective? I had already explained this to you earlier. That is in the comparative degree. In the comparative degree, we use more when the word has more than one syllable. Sometimes a two syllable or sometimes three syllable adjective. We use more before an adjective. That's in the comparative degree. I hope you remember the rule that was explained. How to start a sentence using the word little. Little did I know. If you do not know anything about it, little was I aware about something. So we can always start the sentence with little that way. When we say that hardly anything, nothing. I gave you the meaning of the word little means hardly anything or nothing. There was little hope. So little did I know that you would react this way. Please explain the difference between the few. You want me to explain once again? Because this was already explained. The few means very little, whatever it is there, everything of that. While a few means a small quantity. She asked for a few sweets. And few means hardly anything actually, nothing. As I gave you the example, he received few blessings. Okay, so the few means some, but everything what that was there. While a few means a few, some. Maybe suppose there was a bottle of sweets, but in the as we had the picture, and she asked for a few sweets means from there a few sweets, a small quantity. While few means hardly anything, hardly any, or rather sometimes it may be zero also, hardly anything. Why do we need to put an ER word in a sentence that contains more than two syllables? It is a rule. It is a rule in grammar that we have to use ER in the comparative degree is of comparison when this word has more than two syllables. Two or more, some words of two syllables and words with more than two syllables, we use ER. It's just a rule. Which word can we use to transform positive into comparative? Can you elaborate it? Which word can we use to transform positive into comparative? Now, I gave you the example like in a when there is a comparison between only two, the place of this, which word can we use to transform positive? Okay, from positive to comparative, the subject of the positive in the comparative will become the object, and the object of the positive will become the subject in the comparative. So we start with the object that was used in the positive degree as a subject in the comparative degree. Okay, that's how we use. Is it fine to give a sentence as the boy is richer than his two brothers? The boy is richer than his two brothers. Yes, it's correct. What is the difference between a regular and an irregular adjective? Irregular adjectives are those rare ones. As I explained to you, the regular adjectives will take in the comparative degree ER or more, and in the superlative degree EST or most. While irregular adjectives, we do not change them, the entire word is changed.
I think that was the last question, ma'am. Thank you. Over to
Thank
Mr.
you.
Soul.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for being present there. Thank you.